All right, now that we are triangle champions, let's move on to quadrilaterals. Let's throw a side in there and see what happens, an extra side. You're going to find 58 in your quarter one math notes, classifying quadrilaterals, and you're going to glue that in after the last page of triangle notes. I like to have my notes on the left and my practice on the right, if that makes sense. So we're going to do quadrilaterals. The word quad means 4. A quadrilateral has 4 sides. Now this is kind of like a flowchart. Think about if you used a flowchart before. If yes, move this way. If no, move that way. Have you done that before? Let's see. So the first thing you say is, how many sides does my shape have? 3, it's a triangle. 4, it's a quadrilateral. 5, it's a pentagon. Okay, so if it has 4, it's always a quadrilateral. It doesn't matter what shape it looks like, any of these, it's still a quadrilateral. Okay? So we're going to write in here, it is a 4-sided figure. And it is closed. In earlier grades, you learned that a polygon is a closed figure. So make sure that it is closed, a 4-sided figure. Now, you ask yourself, do you have 2 sides of parallel lines? Remember, parallel lines are lines that go like this, not like this. They're like that. So do they have 2 sets of parallel lines, or do they have 1 set of parallel lines? So we have 1 set of parallel lines. I'm going to say over here, parallel equals parallel lines. So we know what that means. Okay, 1 set of parallel lines, and these are 2 sets of parallel lines. Okay? So if it has 1 set, it's a trapezoid, and that's it. It's a quadrilateral and a trapezoid. Okay? So a trapezoid is a 4-sided figure, which makes it a quadrilateral. And 1 pair of parallel sides, which are here and there. They don't have to be, they can be on the side, but there's just 1 set of parallel. Remember, if it rotates, it's still going to be the same. We have to look, doesn't have to be on the top and the bottom is what I'm trying to say. Okay, but in that figure, the trapezoid, the parallel lines are top and bottom. Okay, there's nothing else to describe this any further. It is a trapezoid and a quadrilateral. That's it. On the other side has 2 sets of parallel lines. So it's a quadrilateral and a parallelogram. So this is a 4-sided figure, meaning it's a quadrilateral. And it has 2 pairs of opposite parallel sides. So in other words, the ones across from each other, those are parallel and these are parallel when they say opposite sides. So the ones across from each other. So you start with a quadrilateral, 4-sided figure. It's either a trapezoid or parallelogram. 1 set of parallel lines is a trapezoid, 2 sets of parallel lines is a parallelogram. Now with a trapezoid, you stop there, but a parallelogram, there's many different kinds. So now we're going to go even further. Now we are going to look at the sizes of the sides and some angles. Okay? So the first step is number of sides, next step is parallel lines, and now we're going to look at the different sizes and angles of the sides and corners. Okay? So a rectangle is a four-sided figure with two pairs of parallel sides, and it has all right angles. Now remember, a right angle is 90 degrees, so all of them are 90 degrees. So it is a four-sided figure. So I'm going whoop, four-sided figure, two pairs of parallel sides, and all right angles. Now, when we're talking about rectangles, we don't have sizes of the sides right now that we're worried about. We're just looking at the angles. Now, when we go and talk about a square, that's when we start talking about a specific kind of rectangle. Did you know a square is a rectangle? We're going to learn that. All right, so a parallelogram is either a rectangle, a rectangle or a rhombus, okay? And we're going to wait Kite later on because he's way over here and he's like, hello, I'm hanging out. So we're going to go to the rhombus. It looks like a square that somebody sat on, basically. An elephant sat on it. So it has two pairs of parallel sides. It is a four-sided figure, and all the sides are equal. So it does not have all right angles. So it's a four-sided figure. Two pairs of parallel sides. And all sides are equal. So a parallelogram is a four-sided figure with two pairs of opposite sides. So it's either a rectangle or a rhombus. A rectangle has right angles, a rhombus does not. A rhombus has four equal sides. A rectangle might, but that would be later on in our step, okay? A square is a rectangle and a rhombus. So let's think about that one. We're going to start back at the top, see if you can follow. I have a four-sided figure. It's either one pair of parallel sides or two pairs of parallel sides. Okay? It has two pairs of parallel sides. It is a parallelogram. Now I'm going to say, does it have all right angles? If it does, then it could be a square. Okay? Does it have all the sides are equal? If it does, it could be a square if it's both. So a square is a rectangle and a rhombus put together. Does that make sense? Because a rectangle has all right angles, which is a square, and a rhombus has all the sides that are equal. So a square is a rectangle and a rhombus. So if it's both of these, you have a square. All right angles, all equal sides. So how do I know it's a square? If I say it's a rhombus because it has all the sides that are equal, and then I notice that all of the angles are 90 degrees, because a rhombus doesn't have to look like this, like a diamond, then it's a square. If I notice that it's a rectangle and all the sides are the same, So it has all right angles and all the sides are the same. It's a square. So it's these two put together. So we have the two L's represents parallel, and then the upside down T is perpendicular. Okay? Now we're going to be looking at obtuse angles. If I see that a four-sided figure has obtuse angles, it could be either a parallelogram or a rhombus. That is not a square. If it has right angles, it could be a square or a rectangle. If it has two sets of parallel lines, it could be a parallelogram. Then I go down, it could be a rhombus, or it could be a rectangle, meaning it could be a square if it's either a rhombus or a rectangle. And one set of parallel lines is a trapezoid. There's only one choice for those, a trapezoid. Okay? Now let's go up to let's see here. A kite. I'm going to go back up to a kite. A kite has two equal adjacent sides. So it has no parallel lines. The sides that touch, which is what adjacent means, are the same length. So those are the same length, and these are the same length. No parallel lines, no perpendicular lines. Okay? It's kind of like the odd man out. Let's look down here at parallelograms and what they have in common. We're going to do a Venn diagram here for parallelograms. We have a kite. He's way over here. He doesn't have anything in common with anybody. And a trapezoid doesn't have anything in common with anybody. They're kind of like the loners over there. Then we have a rectangle is a parallelogram. A kite is not. A trapezoid is not a parallelogram. A rhombus is a parallelogram. A square is all three. Hopefully that makes some sense. All right, we're going to check the next video for some practice on the next page.